Hello everyone, Adrienne here, and today I am so excited to come to you with the first impression of my very first Natasha Denona palette. It is the Love palette. This is the outer packaging. I don't think it's going to come into focus well with the shiny metallic box, but it just says Natasha Denona on it and Love palette, and on the back it's got the different colors listed here, and on this side it's got the ingredients. And if you follow me for any length of time, you know that I am not good with numbers and remembering all that. I've counted 4 times. I kid you not how many metallics to matte shades there are in here. This is a 15 pan palette. I will list on the screen how many metallics and how many mattes, and it's just like the outer box except it's a cream color pink shade, and it just says Natasha Denona and Love palette. In the back of the palette looks like this will be a refillable palette. I'm not sure. It's got the little holes where each shade is, where you could unfold a paper clip and just pop the different pan out, but I'm going to go ahead and open it up and show you the inside of the palette now. And it has a nice mirror here. I don't want to blind you, so I'm going to turn it upside down, and of course the names are printed on the inside of the palette, and it is a hard plastic palette. I like the compact size of it. This palette retails for $65. If you watched my New Year's plans for my channel, you would have seen that Natasha Denona was a brand that I was interested in adding to my channel, but a lot of her products that I want are more than I'm willing to spend on a palette right now. You know, with a lot of her palettes being $129, there's a lot of things that I really like of hers and would like to try, but the price point is just too high. So I'm so excited that besides the minis, because her little mini palettes are really not exciting me much, or those little 5 pan, I still think the price is kind of high for some of those 5 pan palettes, so I haven't been willing to pick up one of those. It just seems like a bunch of different little clutter. I may in the future end up picking up some of those, but I hope she continues to do some of these $65 palette range. Not saying that $65 isn't a lot, because $65 is the top of what I've ever spent on an eyeshadow palette, and I really don't want to go much higher than that, and do think $65 is a lot. But this is my first palette from her, so I'm excited to try the quality out. And as you can see, I usually start my videos out with my makeup already on, but I haven't swatched this palette or done anything with it. So as I'm getting ready, this will be my first time touching any of these colors, and I've gone ahead and I've primed my eyelids with my, let's see if I can find it, my MAC Prep and Prime, my 24-hour extended eye base. And then I've gone in with my MAC Paint Pot and Laying Low. So that's what I have on right now, and it's kind of tacky because I don't set my eyeshadow primer. I like it to grab all the pigmentation that I can get. So without further ado, I am going to show you guys some swatches. Of course, I won't have seen these swatches before I start the eye look. I will pop them in as I'm editing later on, but I will be right back after the swatches. Now that you've seen the swatches, let's go ahead and jump into this palette and create the look that we're going to wear today. And this palette pretty much is just, looks like a really pinky purpley palette. This shade looks a little reddish, but it has a lot of pink undertones. So I think I'm going to try with the shirt that I have on and the head wrap that I have on to mix like the pink and purple together and see what I come out with. So I'm going to pick up a blending brush now, and I'm just going to go in and lay down a base shade here, just looking for the perfect little blending brush. And this is the MSQ blending brush, and I think I want to start out with this color Intense here. It is this pink shade, and I'm trying to just lightly dab. I don't have any kick up, which is not a problem for me if I do. Let me adjust my mirror so I'm not holding my head down while you guys are trying to watch. Oh my gosh, this pigmentation is starting out so nice already, and this is blending really well. Take more of that Intense shade. Wow. This is nice because it doesn't seem like it's going to take much to build the shadow. Recently, I've been in a lot of drugstore quality palettes. I haven't been in my higher end palettes much, so it's exciting to get back in, and I'm just taking more of that intense on this blending brush and going in the other eye. It's nice to get back to some higher quality palettes just to see how they perform, and that was one of the things that I wanted to know is, were her shadows really so special that I was missing out on something and needed to pick them up, because I did feel like I was missing a good quality. Of course, just because somebody charges a high price for their product doesn't always mean that it's a good product, but I was pretty sure that she must have something pretty decent going on. As many different people I've seen with multiple of her palettes. There's even some of her extra big palettes that are, I think, $238. One of them in particular, just going in with more intense, that I've seen that I want, but of course, I'm balking at spending $129, so $238 definitely isn't going to happen. But, you know, everything's all relative to what's okay for a person's budget. If I wasn't such a extreme makeup lover where I like so many different eyeshadow palettes, I would probably buy a palette that costs that much if it was going to be my one key palette. Ooh, and I think I got too much of that intense shade. Hopefully I'll be able to blend this out, but I would feel free to go ahead and do that if I wasn't buying so many palettes and I was going to use the one palette all the time. I'd have no problem coughing up that kind of money, but I just have too many palettes and I would never get back around to get $238 or, I don't know, $129 worth of use out of a palette. And I think I got this a little more intense than I wanted to. I like this amount, but I went a little overboard. Now I'm going to have to deepen this side to get them balanced out. So a little bit of product goes a long way. And this MSQ blending brush that I'm using is kind of a dense one, so it is picking up a lot of pigmentation. And this is a highly pigmented palette, but it's blending so easy. And sometimes I tend to get patchiness right in here. I've been using a lot of exfoliating anti-aging products on my eye right in there, and some of the more reasonably priced palettes have been, the pigments have been grabbing right in there and splotchy, and this one is not doing it. So I'm impressed with that right off the bat. And I'm going to turn the palette upside down so you can see it again. And for the sake of using pink and purple, I think in the crease I'm going to go in with this purple shade here, and it is called Trust. So I'm going to take a Real Techniques, and this is one of the Instapot brushes. I don't have my glasses on, so I won't be able to tell you which one, but this is one that's great for hooded eyes. So I'm going into this Trust color and even dabbing into this with the angled tip. I'm not getting any kick up, and this is how much product I have on the brush. So I'm going to place that here in the crease and build the color up. Let's see, this is going on really nicely. So this is blending nicely. Not taking much effort at all. Taking a little more of that Trust shade and going in. I can see that I've kind of made a mess over there, and I will go back in and blend it out. I just don't want to keep trying to do it with this brush that I have on, because this brush is good for putting down color, not for blending out edges. And this color's going on a lot deeper than what I thought it would. I thought it would be a little lighter. I may have to finish packing on the color and sit this brush down, though. I can see that I'm not going to be able to soften this up or blend it out at all with this brush. So let's see, in the inner corner, I'll put a little more down on both inner corners coming in. And I'm going to stop. That's going to take a lot of blending, but I'm not going to keep packing it on. I think I'm kind of interested in using this color and this shade here. No, that's too dark. I think this color and this color here, I'm going to try those on the lid and see what I think. So I'm going to take a Mary Kay eyeshadow brush, just a plain eyeshadow brush. And I think first I'll go in with this purple shade, and it is called Pure Love. So just dabbing that on, and this brush is dry. Getting a little kick up there. I'm going to leave the very inner corner of the eye with no color, because I may take this pink shade here, pinkish gold shade, and put it there. It just depends on how it looks once I get the other shade, but oh, this is gorgeous. This is such a pretty color. I'm going to go ahead and wet the brush now. Actually, I'm going to put it on dry on this other eye, and then I'll wet the brush because I want both eyes to turn out even. In case it gets really metallic, I'll have a hard time getting the other side to look the same way. So let me build this up here. It's going on quickly. Okay, I'm going to spray some Max Fix Plus on it. I always got this thing locked. I don't know why I lock it like, woo, I just unscrewed the top and I'm spilling it. Okay, I'm going to have to quit locking it because I'm making a mess. Nobody comes in my makeup room and messes with my stuff. And I only ever pick it up and use it when I want to use it. Okay, so going in with this shade Damp. Let's see. Ew, I wish I wouldn't have done that. It is showing all kinds of texture. I'm going to go ahead and dab a little bit on this eye, and then I'm going to leave it alone. Maybe I can come back later and kind of buff some of that away. But spraying the brush, if you've got textured eyelids, I would say maybe you want to start out with it first on a wet brush. Don't try to go back after you've already put it down. I don't know if you can see all this, but it is very textured on this eye, even compared to this one. So yeah, I'm not too crazy about that. Now I'm going to go ahead and go in with the shade, what is this, Passion. And I'm going to flip this brush over and go into Passion and just put it on the outer edge of the rest of the lid, kind of blend it into that purple color. It's turning out really pretty. They blend together nicely. I don't want to take it all the way out to the outer V because I want to put a contouring shade on there. This is building up nice. Okay, little bit more. I do like how these metallics are blending into one another. I'm going to sit that brush down, and I am going to grab another blending brush, and I'm going to go back into this shade Trust because I feel like I do need more of it in the crease, but that dense brush is not going to be what I need to apply it. So I'm just going to use some swirling motions with that Trust shade and take it up higher. So that's looking a lot better. Just concentrate the majority of the color in the crease and then blend up. So this is blending out really nice. And I like the color gradient that I'm getting. Take some more of that Trust and go do that with this eye. It's building up really nice. Soften out this because it's looking pretty intense. Really pigmented. This is such a pretty color combination. I know I have lots of stuff like this in my collection, but I don't think that I have it all in one palette. But once I get this look finished, I will be able to give you guys an idea of really what I think somewhat of the colors that I've used today. Obviously, this is my first impression. I don't know what the rest of the palette's going to work like, and I do plan on making several other videos on this palette. I'm not going to try to cram a bunch of stuff into this one video. I feel like $65 for a palette. I can take my time on creating looks and figuring out what I think of this palette and not rush everything. I'm really curious as to this commitment shade here, what this is. So I think I'm going to try to put a little bit of it on the outer V and see what exactly it is. Just trying to determine what kind of brush I want to use. And this little brush is pretty dense, so I will go in lightly with the commitment shade and tap it on the outer V to see what I get. I don't want to go too overboard with it because it looks like this is a potent color, and I was correct. A little bit of this commitment goes a long way. That's kind of funny to say. A little bit of the commitment goes a long way. I do like that for deepening the outer V. Okay. So that's a really pretty color, this commitment. This palette is so pigmented, but I would expect nothing less from a high-end brand. It's not difficult to blend or work with at all, so I'm liking the quality of it so far. Take a little, well, let's see, maybe a smidgen more right here. Goodness, this has turned out so purple. But I don't mind. And my other purple palettes that I have in my collection right now, I don't feel like this is the same. This is kind of indigo, blue purple. I really do like that. The variation of purple is very indigo. So that's exciting, the purple shades that are in here. There's some nice mauve-y, pinky things going on, but the purple is indigo. So that's pretty unique. And I'm looking for a brow bone shade. This one, of course, the bone shade always works, but I get bored with that. I'm a little nervous about this pink, but it's only makeup, so I will go ahead and try it. Let me grab a little angled brush here. Oh, that's like really pigmented. Go in and, I like that a lot. I think I like that a lot more than what I would have liked that bone shade to be. It goes a lot better with the eyeshadow look. Don't want to get too much of it though. Okay, now I'm going to go back up here and just fill in my eyebrow on the inner brow. Let me make sure that I've got the right blending brush. This was, which shade was it that I put down first? Intense. I didn't end up using all the shades that I initially intended to create this look because everything's so pigmented that it came together quickly. And I'm so sorry, my nose is running. Let me wipe my nose real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, back to what I was saying. I had intended to use this shade, but I guess not today. There's plenty to play with in this palette. I did say I was going to go on the inner corner with this shade here to see what it looks like. So I'm trying to find a small enough brush. I don't want to make a mess of that. We'll use this little tiny itty bitty brush here and dab a little bit on. I got a feeling a little bit of this will go a long way. I'm not sure this is going to be as intense as I want it. I guess we did use that. I did use this shade. Well, for the sake of keeping both sides balanced, let me put a little bit here. And now I'm going to go in and pick something else and mix it together with that. I kind of think the silver is going to be just a little too much. So I think I'm going to go in with, let me turn it right side up so I can see, this shade here called Transparent. Add a little bit of Transparent and mix it in with that other shade. See if we can't get it a lot brighter. There, that's lightening up the inner corner quite a bit. That is exactly what I wanted. And I cannot decide if I want to do a little spotlight of that right in there. Might as well, while we're trying things out. Just a little pop of this just to add some brightness to the center, and I'm liking that. Let me do it to the other eye. A little bit of Transparent. And a little bit of this goes a long way. Okay, I think that a little bit more, but I think that about does it. I want to keep them even and I don't want to overdo it. I don't want it to take over. So now I'm going to go off camera and finish with lashes and liner, mascara, and put the rest of my face makeup on. And I'll be back to discuss my first impression of this palette. So here I am back with the completed look. This look has turned out to be really gorgeous. I really did like the quality of this eyeshadow palette, and I have to say this eyeshadow palette has done something I've never had an eyeshadow palette do before. Not any of my other high-end palettes have I ever noticed that this has happened, but this eye, where I noticed that it started to build texture after I sprayed the brush, because I'd already put down quite a bit of it dry and then put the sprayed brush with more product on top of it, and I saw the creases in my eyelid, the texture. This, and I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it leveled out on its own. The texture's gone on its own. That being said, if you are a more mature person and you're having issues with crepey skin around the eyes, or you are someone that's concerned with how smooth your eyeshadow looks and don't like any texture at all, I would definitely say that this palette is an excellent palette for that. I've never seen, like I said, texture level out on my eyes once I have it. Typically, I have it for the rest of the day. Sometimes I can pat it a little bit and it'll go away, but I did not touch this eyeshadow anymore once I went off camera, and I didn't notice it until I was putting my lashes on that the texture had smoothed itself out. So that I'm really impressed with the Natasha Denona formulation. So I have to say that's something different that I've never seen. And that's the sort of thing that I want to see when I'm trying a high-end brand that I think is super expensive and don't understand why they have the price point that they have. Something as significant as that will change my whole mind as to what I think of the quality and if I'm willing to spend a high amount on a particular product, because my eye area is the area as I'm maturing that I'm more concerned with. I have done a lot of work on my eyes and gotten rid of the majority of the crepey skin around my eyes, and also lightened slightly the dark circles. Some of that is never going to go away because it's hereditary and it's the way the blood vessels lay underneath my skin, but I've lightened it as much as I can. And it's so important to me to have the right products that don't accentuate any of the things that I'm trying to cover up. So that being said, like as far as my recommendations of this palette, I would say if you are having issues, like I said, with the crepey skin around the eyes, or you need a higher quality product, to make your eye look as presentable as possible and it's within your budget, I would definitely say this is an excellent product. On the other hand, there are so many palettes coming out so fast, and it seems as if each company is seeing one particular company release something in a color scheme, and if it does well for them, they kind of piggyback and they go add their spin on it. I do feel, because I have some favorite palettes, that I could create this particular look that I'm wearing. Maybe it's a little more indigo, like the crease shade is slightly a little more indigo than some of those other palettes, but not enough that you would notice. And I would say if you have this palette, this Huda Beauty Amethyst palette, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up so you can see the colors like next to my eye look. Unless you have issues with really crepey skin around the eye, I would say you don't need this palette to create the look that I'm wearing today, the Natasha Denona one. Even though I love the way it performed and it went on easy, if you have this, if you want the purple look that I'm wearing, you can do something like that with that palette, the Amethyst palette, and you don't need this. If you have the Norvina Volume 1 palette, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up so you can see it. There are several purple shades in here. They're not exact, but like this pink and this mixed with some of these different purple shades in here. Now, mind you, they're not quite as indigo as the bluish purple in the Natasha Denona, but the thing is that some of these color schemes, once you get them on the eye, it's really not that big of a distinction once it's all blended out with your skin tone to where the majority of the time you can tell. If you have this palette, you don't need that Natasha Denona palette to create the eye look that I'm wearing today. But like I said, if it's something you really want and you don't have any other things in your collection to create a look like this, or you have issues with the texture of the skin around your eyes, this is definitely a great palette to have. And this is just my first impression. I will be taking my time. I'm not going to do a video where I have 2 and 3 looks in it. This was an expensive palette. I will take my time and go through this palette, and this is look number 1 if you see me with videos posted. And I don't know how many looks I'm going to get out of this palette, and maybe in a few months after wearing every shade in this palette and seeing how it performs, maybe I'll be able to come to you with the final review. But for $65, I want to thoroughly go through the shades in this palette and let you know what I think of it. I like the combination of the things that Natasha Denona put together in this palette, but it's definitely nothing unique to my collection. And if you have a relatively big eyeshadow collection, I would bet you probably have the majority of the shades in this palette in your collection if you've been buying eyeshadows over the last year, because a lot of the red shades like this and this have become really popular in the last year, and they've been put in lots of different palettes. So I think this is a fantastic formulation. I really like the quality of it, how well it blended out. But if you're on a tight budget and this seems to be too much for you, and you've already bought some of the things that I've already spoken about, those are really good quality palettes also. And I don't feel like this is something that you need to rush and get. Maybe if it's something you absolutely like the color scheme and want it, wait till it's on sale or something. It's not bad by any means. I really do like it and like the quality. But I think I have a lot of these shades within my collection. Like maybe this darker shade that I use for the outer V, but I am thinking, I think the Huda Beauty one might have a shade similar to this in that palette. And the silver here, I know I have this in my ColourPop Smoke Show palette. And these colors here, these are basic shades that are in so many palettes. So it really comes down to a formulation. If you've got a lot of ColourPop palettes, you probably have these shades in your ColourPop palette. So really it comes down to formulation and what you want. I really do like this palette. I don't regret getting it because I wanted to know about Natasha Denona's formulation, and if I would down the road splurge and spend money on maybe some of her higher end palettes, and I can't say that I won't right now. This definitely I definitely see a huge difference in the quality and the performance of the shadows versus drugstore. Obviously, I would expect to see better than drugstore, and some of the higher end palettes in the $40 range or so, I still think that the quality of this formulation performs better. I hope this video helped give you an idea of if this is a palette that you might want to add to your collection, or maybe you want to sit back and wait a little bit longer, or maybe it's a no. I hope it helped you out with deciding that. Like I said, I will have different looks coming up on this palette. Maybe getting another one up, trying to do another one before Valentine's Day, but I'm not going to rush myself because there's so many other things that I'd like to get up that would create pretty Valentine's Day looks also. I'm really not sure if this palette is limited edition, but I will be getting those looks out for you guys. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. You're also going to want to hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button so YouTube notifies you every time I upload a new video. I'll see you guys soon.